Hello, this is Bonnie. It's March 24th of 2024, and today we are going to take a little look at the Taiga Tapestry Trail. So this is one of my favorite spots, kind of the wooded trails in my neighborhood back behind my house. And we'll start to take a look at the Tapestry Trail. As we go through, I'll tell you a little bit too about how the Tapestry Trail came to be. So this little piece is just a texture and surface texture structure study that I did. Was inspired by Nearly Wild Weaving in the UK, who also inspired part of my desire to just have tapestries hanging outside. You can see some places where it's been weathered a little bit, but all the loopy textures and kind of fun stuff on this. And this is your welcome to the Tapestry Trail. As we wander along, we'll see 23 different pieces. Some of them woven specifically for the Tapestry Trail, others studies and thoughts about different things. This is one of what I think of as the guidepost to the trail. It's a tapestry woven in collaboration with One Tree Alaska, and it reflects snow depth data. So the different colors of yarn, as you go over to the left side, you see one color, and then 6 strands of the same color across. Those are tapestry yarns that reflect temperature data. So that first strand is in a range of temperatures from 36 to 40 degrees, and the other 6 of them are all temperatures that are 35 degrees and below. So this is a stretch of snow depth, and the depth is reflected by the number of knots in the strands here, and also by that white section underneath the temperature. So this was kind of done to capture the data of snow depth in spring in the interior, but also to capture that kind of crunchiness of snow, especially in the springtime when it gets a little iffy like it is today. Our next piece here, so some of the pieces on the Tapestry Trail were just rediscovered pieces, studies I did early in my tapestry weaving journey that I dug out of bins and brought out onto the trail. And this is one of those. You can see I was interested in squares and rectangles, and then you get angles, and if you're a tapestry weaver, pick and pick, and some bars and wavy lines. So it was originally just a technique study, but something that I kind of liked, and it didn't do much for me sitting in a bin, so here it is on the Tapestry Trail. This next piece is one of the tree blankets, and the tree blankets came from a project that I did with the Missouri Fiber Arts Association, where it was a book art study, and I don't have any book art skills. So I wove a tapestry that was a folding screen, and these little slits here on this tapestry were for the posts of the screen on the original piece to go through. I don't have that piece anymore, it's sold. But then I decided I really liked this idea of pieces that could be hung on trees in different ways or put onto branches. You can see I just put that onto a branch, and it can hang in a variety of different ways. The tree blankets for me, they are designed to be outdoors on snow like it is right now, but for me they were just also a comfort or an expression of significant events in life. So I've given a lot of them away as birthday or anniversary presents or in memory of someone. And there are other places around town and around the country where you can see those. This is another one of my early just kind of technique studies. And I love this because if you look closely at it, that is a very even, flat weave, and the cellages are nearly perfect, and I don't do that anymore. I'm much more interested in the design than I am in, perfectly flat, tidy tapestry, but I love this little piece because it reminds me that I can do that if I want to. This is a study done from a workshop with Fiona Hutchinson, and we were studying mark making, and what would happen. This particular piece came from a study that we did doing marks on wet paper and seeing what happened with drip lines and with dry brush marks. So you can see, like over in this section, that's a tapestry reflection of marks made with a dry brush, and the black line down below is a drip on that piece of paper. So the idea was to see how closely you could weave what came out on the paper, and it was an interesting thing in sort of rule breaking in tapestry, making things that aren't weaverly, so to speak, possible to do in tapestry, and what kinds of abstract images can come out of that. This is another one of those early studies that has just really nice colors in it, and it has some kind of shapes that I found very interesting. You can see in here I'm still very enamored of squares and lines just scattered across the background and what they do in really vibrant colors. And I think especially outdoors. The color choices in these are not my normal color choices, but they do reflect what I wanted this to do outdoors. This is actually from a class I taught. And this is a piece that I teach students to do in class now that I'm teaching tapestry, where they go through some of the basic shapes and forms and curves and outlines. And this was a sample I wove up for that. And again, a lot of these things have ended up out here because they were too pretty to put in a box. There's another little curve shape. This was actually done in on a backpack loom, what I think of as a backpack loom. Just a little loom that can be chucked in my bag when I'm traveling, and that was actually done on a trip. I believe that was on a trip to New Mexico. This little guy over here is inspired by watermelons. That is a summer piece of tapestry, and I think you can see the forms in the watermelon rind and then the inside of the watermelon. And it was just a color study in just the play of inspiration from nothing more serious than a piece of fruit. Throughout the trail, there are little places where wanderers can go off trail a little bit and find different things. This is just another little bunch of stacked curves, but in bright, bold colors. We'll go back here a little bit. This is one of my favorite tapestries on the trail. This one's called Okay, Let's Go, and it was woven in March of 2020, and everybody knows what was happening in March of 2020. I wanted to look at a limited range of colors and values, and I started out with just orange, blue, and green as my options here. The word begin there refers to the beginning of the pandemic and thinking, not sure what we're going to do, but we're going to go for it and try to live life. And this other word, meander, scrambled up, is how I tried to take life in the pandemic, of just being willing to accept it was not going to be linear and we're going to have to wander around a little bit. This is hugging a friend from across the road in March. And there's my friend Dorley scattering runner beans as she runs down the road, trying to spread love in the form of vegetables for our gardens during the middle of the pandemic. You've got a hiker. This little window here is taken from my last trip before the pandemic to Scotland, and that's a window from Island Donan. So you can kind of see some evolution, just some design things that I was trying out, but also a little glimpse into what was going on during the early pandemic, which seems like a really long time ago and actually isn't. Here's another one of the signposts, the snow depth studies that I like just kind of hanging on things to remind you where the trail is going to go. This little guy is woven on wire and is just a fun little thing that can do different things. It can be bent or shaped or curved or whatever, but ended up out here on the trail. Here's another tree blanket, and this one is kind of hung in a way where it drapes and is weighted. And I love coming out here and just kind of seeing what happens as snow falls on these things or as they get weighted down. This one was actually stretched flat at the beginning of the winter and is now curved from all the snow weight on it. What's up next is a bunch of tree blankets together, woven or trailed across 3 different trees, and this is the newest direction that I'm exploring, is these kind of just little bands between trees and across the trail. And these are just, there's so much in here. Oh my goodness, we've got squares, and we've got kind of more round organic shapes over there. Let me see if I can. So over there are some kind of earthy colors that mirror the trees. All of these again are woven with large slits in them so that they can be not only trailed across trees or have tree branches go through them, but also so that light can go through them like it does through that one. And so they can be looped. So you can take this, a band of this through another band and make kind of tangled loops out of them. So you've got a whole bunch of really vibrant pick and pick going on there. Angles, you can see a surface noodle. This part is really interesting. Let's see if I can get a close-up of that. That's just repeat angles over and over again with different lengths of yarn to create, kind of an electric, vibrant approach. And we'll take a look at this one back from down below the trail because it's really pretty from a distance. This is another signpost. Which way are we going? And that's exactly what I was thinking when I did that. I did a little stack of those in different colors when I was thinking about how strange it was that we were in uncharted territory. And actually that whole series started before the pandemic and just became an emblem of everything. Politics, the world, the pandemic, who we are as people. Another little signpost with snow depth data on it. And at different places along the trail here and in some other places where I've got tapestries, we've got the snow depth data for the entire spring season of 2023 is all out in the woods someplace. This is another, just kind of color study. This was for a larger piece that I was working on at the time, and these were the initial studies that on the color blending that led into it, and just used as a wrap around a tree. This one is largely hand spun yarn, and my favorite thing about this are the kind of multicolored cloud forms up here, which are all woven as triangles and then sort of enhanced or smushed or manipulated a little bit. So I was playing with how to do that. And this guy has actually, it's very, and I wish I could show you how to, how it feels in the video. It has been outdoors. This is its third winter outdoors now. And so it's really soft, and it's starting to, I don't know, to me it almost looks like it's starting to belong because it has lived outdoors for a couple of winters now. The tapestries do all come off the trail at the end of winter. It's definitely a wintertime thing, and I recently had the experience of having a piece I had in a backstrap loom was scavenged by squirrels who used it for nesting material. So as animal activity goes up, these definitely need to come off the trail. There's just another one with just shapes and forms and lines. That one actually is very much Southwest inspired on those kind of disappearing horizons that happen out there. And we'll keep coming around here, and we'll take a look back up at some of the more colorful ones in just a second here. I'm kind of watching my step because it is March and it's a little slippery out here now. There was one more shaped piece that got scavenged by animals for nesting material, a little shaped bowl that sat at the base of one of the trees. So here's that, you can kind of see it through the trees, that band of color draping across. And I really love seeing it from down here, where you can just see a little hint or splash of color up the hillside there. This is one of my favorite pieces. I love this little guy. This is all woven from dog hair yarn with a couple of colored strands. The colored strands are hand-dyed churro, Navajo churro, and the rest is all dog hair. And not just any dog hair, but that is dog hair from Denali Park, spun by Renan Caro in the 70s and 80s. So it's wonderful. It's like a lot of the things out here. I keep going back to these. It has softened it just feels like petting a dog. From the winter outdoors, it's really soft and has the halo on the yarn has kind of fluffed up a little bit. Okay, so here we have the owl, and I love the owl. The owl is a part of my most recent piece. It was a study done for a piece called Ghost Town Folly, which has 3 mythical figures in it: an owl, a coyote, and a jackalope. And this was the owl, and I was playing with different breeds of owl and different shapes of owl and what their ears look like and what their face masks look like, and how to make them a little bit more abstract. The sky around the owl was playing with kind of impossible desert sky colors, and you can see the border down below the owl and the tree branches woven into there were experiments in taking a traditional either Navajo or Rio Grande weaving pattern and making it a little bit more abstract and concrete. That pattern actually underneath the owl, that kind of sawtoothed pattern, that to me also looked like the walls around adobe houses. So I ended up actually using that pattern in a little bit bolder color in the final weaving. And the owl in the final weaving looks a little bit different, but was definitely based on this owl. I really actually like this owl better than the one that ended up in the big piece. And I'm very fond of seeing the owl as one of my last little friends on the Tapestry Trail. And that brings us back around to where we started. It's one big loop, and we come back around to our very first welcome tapestry on the trail. I hope you've enjoyed this trip through the Tapestry Trail. I'll kind of look back up, and you can see a few of the things peeking at us off of trees around. This is another one of my favorite things about the trail, is kind of looking up and seeing just little glimpses of color blowing in the wind or beckoning you onto the trail. Thanks for your company on this tour of the Taiga Tapestry Trail.